When you hear the phrase taxpayers' money, what do you feel? Maybe responsibility, maybe pride, or maybe frustration. That's my money they're wasting. That emotional reaction is powerful, and it's also built in a story that isn't quite true. So let's talk simply and honestly about what actually happens when you pay your taxes. Most of us were taught the same basic idea. First people work, then they pay taxes. Then the government collects that money and spends it on schools, roads, healthcare, or whatever else. Sounds reasonable, right? Well, for countries like the US, the UK, Japan, Canada, etc., countries that issue their own currency, that story's backwards. When you pay your taxes, the money doesn't get saved up in a government vault. It doesn't get earmarked for hospitals or highways. It doesn't get reused later. Instead, when taxes are paid, that money is deleted from the economy. Destroyed. Your bank balance goes down, the government's spreadsheet updates, and those tax pounds or dollars cease to exist. That's it. No pile, no pot, no piggy bank labelled taxpayers' money. So, if taxpayers aren't supplying money, where does it come from? Here's the part that usually feels uncomfortable at first. The government creates money. When the government spends on salaries, benefits, infrastructure, weapons, etc., it instructs a central bank to mark up bank accounts. New money is created first. Taxes happen after, and they remove money from circulation. So the government doesn't need your tax money in order to spend. It needs taxes for other reasons. So if taxes aren't funding spending, why do we have them? Well, here's three main reasons. Firstly, to create demand for the currency. You need your national currency in order to pay taxes. That's what gives the currency value. Second, to manage inflation. Taxes pull money out of the economy, making room for other spending without things overheating. Third, to shape behaviour and reduce inequality by taxing things like pollution, speculation, or extreme wealth, for example. Taxes are powerful, they're just not a funding source. Now let's go back to that phrase, taxpayers' money. It's emotionally loaded on purpose. It makes government spending feel like your wallet's being grabbed, your work is being disrespected, someone else is living off your effort. That emotional framing creates fear and resentment, especially towards public services and the people who rely on them. But if we understand that the government creates money and taxes delete it, then public spending isn't about taking anything from you. It's about whether we're using our real resources, people, skills, materials, wisely and fairly. So next time you hear, how are we going to pay for it? Remember, a currency issuing government doesn't need to find money. It needs to manage inflation, resources, and priorities. Your taxes matter, but not because they fund the government. They matter because they help shape the economy we all live in.